Hello, Mr. Mayor. This is Thomas James. I'm going to do my corrections for the test. So the first one is y equals 2x squared plus 3x plus 1 at x equals -1. So what you're going to want to do here is get your first point. So, we have -1. And so for the y, what you do is you plug in that -1 into the equation and you get 0. So that's our first point. And then for the second point, we just add h. So that's going to be -1 plus h for the x. And then what we do is we plug in the -1 plus h into that equation. So I'll just write that out here. So that'll be 2 -1 plus h squared plus 3 -1 plus h plus 1. And if we do that out, we'll get 2 minus 4h plus h squared. So for that, that's what that simplifies into, and then that'll be plus 3h minus 3, and then that little plus 1 at the end. And then if we simplify all that again, we'll get h squared minus h, so that'll be our y point there. So now, we just do the slope. So the limit as h approaches 0 will be h squared minus h over h, and I could write the whole thing out because h squared minus h minus 0, and then of course everything on the bottom will always be h. Or no, sorry, my bad. 2, that's also a 2. I did that math wrong. All right, so then we do that, and then we divide this here, and we get the limit as h approaches 0, and then our h, subtract, so then it's 2. We're left with 2h minus 1, and if we plug in 0, we'll get -1. So that will be the slope of the tangent line at that point, -1. And then on to the second one. This one should go a little bit faster. So it's y equals cosine x at x equals pi over 2. So then our x for our first point will be pi over 2, comma, and then we plug in pi over 2, cosine pi over 2 is 0. And then we have pi over 2 plus h, and we plug that in, so it'll be cosine pi over 2 plus h. We can't expand that because, there's an h in it. And then we just subtract it. So again, cosine pi over 2 plus h minus 0. So that'll just be cosine pi over 2 plus h. And that's over the bottom, which is, again, always going to be h. So h. So then the limit as h approaches 0. And then we use our identity here, and we get cosine pi over 2 cosine h minus sine pi over 2 sine h. And yes, that's over h. And then so what we're going to do next is just simplify that out. So we'll get the limit as h approaches 0 is negative sine h over h, which our identity says is equal to -1. So that's the slope of the tangent line at the point. And then for our next one, it is y equals square root x minus 2 at x equals 6. So again, we have our points. We have 6, and then we plug in 6 there, square root of 4, which is 2. And then, for our second point, we'll have 6 plus h. And then if we plug in 6 plus h into that, it'll just be minus 2, so that'll be square root of 4 plus h. So those are 2 points. So then we set up the slope equation. So we have the square root of 4 plus h minus 2 over h, it will always be h on the bottom. And then we multiply it by the reciprocal, I think that's what this is called, right? And then so we multiply that out, so that'll end up being 4 plus h 4 plus h minus 4 over h, and then we're not going to simplify that yet. And then so then what we do next is we can cross out the 4 and the -4 and the h's. So what we're left with is 1 over square root 4 plus h plus 2. So then we plug in our 0, and what we're going to get at the end is going to be our limit as h approaches 0 will be 1/4, so that will be the slope 1/4. All right, and then the next one is y equals 3 over x minus 1 at x equals 4. All right, so our points, again, 4, because it gives it to us, and then we plug in our 4 there, and we get 3 over 3, so that'll be 1. And then we have 4 plus h, because again, we just add the h to the x, and then we plug the 4 plus h into the equation. And we'll get 3 over 3 plus h. And then we're going to set up our equation, so we're going to have 3 over 3 plus h minus 1 over h. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take it out, the h on the bottom. So limit as h is equal to 0, we're going to take out the 1 over h, because if we take that out, it's the same as just multiplying this by 1 over h. And then what we can have left is 3 over 3 plus h minus 1. And then so we just do common denominator, which will leave us with 3 over 3 plus h, and then we just multiply 3 plus h to the top and bottom, so 3 plus h, 3 plus h. And now we have our common denominator, so we can subtract. So the limit as h approaches 0, what we're going to have inside will be, negative h over 3 plus h, once we subtract those two. And then we can cross out the h's there, but the negative sign stays. So the limit as h approaches 0 will be -1 over 3 plus h. And then we plug in our 0, and we will get -1/3. That will be the slope at x equals 4 for the function. And then for the last one, number 5, I got this wrong as well. I'll just put the test. Actually, let me write the equation. So we have g 3 plus h minus g3 over h equals 5. So this is going to be the equation that we've been making this whole test. They just wrote it out first. So we already know that the IROC's 5. That's one thing we know. And that since we see that the 3 plus h is here, we know that the original point will be 3. So we know that at x equals 2, the instantaneous rate of change is 5.